Before we begin the intro skit, yes, there will be an actual intro skit this time. I do have a little bit of explaining to do because the developmental process of this intro skit was a little bit of a mess, not gonna lie. You know that Tim Text, or I just call him Tim, is my video editor. I send the clips to him, he edits them, I get them back, I put them in my videos. Tim is one of my friends, one of the dudes I know, but of course, with the pandemic, we have to stay apart. But I told Tim I wanted this really, really cheesy green screen edit for this video. And so he did. Tim Text, obviously puts text over my videos, he edits them. When I edit them, I use Windows Movie Maker, and he does the same because it's simple, and I ask him to do it because I kind of want a bit of cheese in my video. However, I think this cheesiness of the green screen scenes was a little bit tipped in the way I didn't like. So I had to go back to Tim and tell him, I think maybe it's a little bit too cheesy, and he's all like, man, you told me to be cheesy, I didn't know how to do it. You didn't tell me how cheesy. So we're gonna roll with it anyway. So if you see the green screen scenes and notice they suck ass, well, just know that they were intended to be cheesy, but not that much. And given the fact that Tim has his own schedule, he's an editor, he's a dude trying to do his own thing. It just is bound to say that this is an intro skit that both I'm not proud of because I didn't communicate very well with Tim on what it was I wanted. And I'm sure Tim is not proud of it because he feels bad for not noticing what I wanted. But we're gonna roll with it anyways. We're gonna roll with the intro skit anyways, even with the horrible green screen edits. Because, sometimes you gotta just show a stupid video or two so you can compare it to the good. So yeah, I'm sorry, Tim, but we're gonna be showing off your bad editing, and I'm gonna be showing off how bad of a communicator I was. Starting now! The new headset I ordered isn't in yet, folks. I ordered a new headset. You may have seen it before. It's the one with both headphones. That one broke, and the one headphone one is kind of crappy, so you're gonna have to deal with me, just with admittedly really bad computer microphone that my base computer has. But while we're at it, we might as well check the mail I did get. This is a advertisement actually given to my old address. This is the Sandman, and this isn't mine. What? To Galaxy TV's Master Galaxia from Starseed Scammers Co. Ltd. Part of me feels like this is a really, really bad prank, but since I'm a good citizen, I should return the mail to its rightful owner. One trip to Galaxy TV later. Whoa! This place is legit! Is this some sort of disco dance floor? I thought disco was dead! Whoa, 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 whoa! I'm not a trespasser, I promise. Please excuse the messy hair. This happens a lot, just trust me. I'm just a delivery man. I'm just giving you some mail that accidentally got my way, okay? I'm not a trespasser. No need to attack me.
In order to seize the entire galaxy, I need it in my possession.
Okay. Yeah. No, uh, I forgot to bring it with me. One sec, be right back.
I await to hear good news from you.
A long moment of backtracking later. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, this is dedicated. Sorry, this is to Master Galaxia from Starseed Scammers Co. Ltd. Yeah, there you go, I guess.
Good work. Once I can get my hands on every true star seed, I can finally become the rightful ruler of the entire galaxy.
You look kinda hot in that outfit. Is it made of solid gold?
Yes.
Jeez. Must be really rich. Though, I do have to ask, wouldn't an outfit made of solid gold weigh a ton of pounds and be really slow and cumbersome moving? I mean, I'm not judging your fashion sense or anything. I'm just saying, like, it's not exactly very practical clothing. If anything, it's probably kind of a drag to wear.
Don't think you'll keep getting chances. My patience is wearing thin.
Well, I mean, okay, I'm sorry for sounding judgmental, but it really does make me wonder how on earth you washed the thing to begin with. And if it's solid gold, you probably broke several laundry machines that way.
Beautiful. The star seed that...
No. You bastard! That Galactica! You dare make a mockery of me? Was I wrong? Did I make the wrong decision reviewing this series? No. That bitch. You dare take my star seed and laugh over it like some sort of innuendo? My power, it's weakening. I won't let her. You might be the main antagonist, and I might look masochistic, but I don't fall to beings like you. I have come so far in the retrospective. I've already been humiliated on several other occasions, but not this time. I saved my closet of weapons for Jane, but in your case, I'll make one exception. I'm not done yet. I won't be defeated yet. I can still stand. I will fight. I will struggle. And I will defend. I won't let you take what isn't yours. Quick! Grab the Death Star! It doesn't belong to you, Galactica. Here. Greeting. Well, I messed up the intro. Oh well, I'm gonna roll with it. Greetings, comrades, and hello, everyone. I'm Quinn866. Welcome back to the Anime Memories Retrospective. This is the very last time I'm gonna be covering Sailor Moon. I have no intention of covering the movies, the Crystal Arc, or the manga, because, real talk, you know, while I certainly did enjoy Sailor Moon by the end of it, due to nostalgia and starting to appreciate it more, I'm going to be taking a massive break from magical girl animes after this. so it also gives me an excuse to delay the clear card arc of Cardcaptor Sakura again. But I will say, though, that I do want to end it with a bang, and even for those people who do want me to cover the Crystal variant of the manga, I do apologize. But I hope what I do cover in this last episode will certainly satisfy enough, since I already have had 5 other videos regarding Sailor Moon's other arcs. Actually, more technically, because some arcs are split into 2 videos, because, you know, some seasons had 2 arcs. And on that topic, for those who don't know, this is a retrospective, so every review will be compared, or some aspects will be referenced back to, so I do recommend watching my other reviews, and if not all of them, just the Sailor Moon videos, with this being the last arc. However, for those who do know, which I assume would be most of you, since I don't think you'd watch the Season 5 video first, it goes without saying, this overly long intro is probably nothing new for y'all, but rather than just explaining more stuff that I've probably already went into great detail over, I just figured of, saying, hey, thank you so much for watching this series, and okay, it might be really cringy to see a 21-year-old dude talk about frickin' Sailor Moon. I mean, I said I'm gonna be done with Magic Animes. I'll go back to them, obviously, like, I still have to cover Cardcaptor Sakura's Clear Card arc, as atrocious as it is, and a few other magical girl animes in my, anime collection. But I do want to take a break, since Sailor Moon would probably kind of overwhelm me, and I don't want to be labeled as that femboy YouTuber who reviews Sailor Moon and Magical Girl animes. Oh god, I can't believe I went there. But I'm not a femboy, guys. I mean, okay, I might have, some tendencies, but I got a girlfriend, so I'm not gay. I just figured I should say that because, man, I really overanalyze too much. But anyways, now I can actually start the proper overly long intro sequence, since I'm probably going to make this video long anyways, even with Sailor Stars being the shortest season. I want to end it with a bang, and there actually is a lot to cover about Sailor Moon Sailor Stars' Shadow Galactica. And I don't just mean, like, the series, like, and what it shows. I mean, the fan base and the history around this arc, in addition to just the Sailor Stars season in general, is actually quite the big topic, despite its, small size. Let me just say, there is a lot of comparing in Sailor Moon Sailor Stars, and really, I can't exactly blame the fanbase. I mean, I compare several things. I mean, no joke, I've done this to heck and back with Sailor Moon for almost every arc, and while comparing isn't exactly what I'd call the most, fair, in quotation marks, of reviewing methods, there are ways to make fair comparisons, like with storytelling and enjoyment standpoints. I mean, this is why I don't believe in the manga source material consistency is better automatically blah 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 argument people blab on about. I mean, I just go based on personal enjoyment, and if I say I don't really enjoy the Dark Kingdom arc, I mean that purely from my subjective opinion. If you disagree, that's fine, more power to you, but still. I mean, I've made several comparisons on other arcs, and heck, even other reviews in my retrospective. I mean, look as early as my very first 3, and again, I'm sorry to reference back to WATV, both the 5-hour edition and the much more tolerable short edition, but real talk, my review of WATV was basically a segue into Trigun, since, well, I both compared Trigun and WATV quite a bit, honestly. I mean, they're both sci-fi westerns. I explained why one was more enjoyable to me, while also pointing out both flaws and pros both had over one another. So even though comparing can be a little bit unfair at times, I do find myself tweaking the review process so I can make it a little bit more compelling, as well as more exemplimentary to finalize my judgment, and be a little bit more rational. In addition to that fact, I've also said a lot of contradicting opinions across the retrospective, as, well, my opinions have changed greatly from what they used to be, and even when watching them again for the review, I find myself tweaking even more points to finalize my judgment. So, to clear up any confusion and or contradictions at the end, I will be doing something special for this review. In addition to it being the last Sailor Moon review I'm gonna be doing, in addition to it also being the last arc, I want to make it feel really climactic and feel, well, really final. So, to end with a bang, at the end of every segment in this review, I will list out my favorites of Sailor Moon in that particular aspect. Like, at the end of the sound segment, I'll put which season's music I found the most appealing, or how in the character segment, I'll rank the arcs by general cast. And I don't just mean like main protagonists and big bad antags. I mean like the whole series, or the whole season, sorry. Which will include sides, monsters of the week, and of course, I'll be factoring their screen time, development, role in the story, and just how much I enjoy the cast as a whole. Of course, same will be said for the story segment as well, but you'll see when we get there, since I'm going to be going into great detail about the story anyways. Another point of focus for this intro is going to be directed at my tastes for quotation marks, long anime. If you have followed my retrospective so far, I think you may have noticed I found myself favoring shorter series, or long series that are broken into similar arcs, kind of like Sailor Moon. I want to say right now that I don't hate long anime, and while I do have a few hot takes, like how I ordered the entirety of Dragon Ball Classic, and while I certainly found charm in the first few seasons, by the time I finished the General Blue arc, I kind of faded, and I went really just on the back burner and stopped watching Dragon Ball. Now, I'll never really go back to Dragon Ball and give it a fair chance, starting from Emperor Pilaf's arc all over again. But my opinions and first impressions weren't that great, unlike other die-hard fans would expect to hear. And okay, I get it, Dragon Ball is really innovative, same for Sailor Moon, but I'm gonna be fair, and I'm gonna be honest about my criticisms and how much I enjoy this series, otherwise it wouldn't be a very honest review, now would it? You also may have noticed I tend to enjoy the shorter arcs of longer series anyways. I mean, prime example being within Sailor Moon itself. I mean, I said Sailor Moon S Season 3, the Deathbuster arc, was my favorite part overall, and that is the shortest season apart from, well, naturally Sailor Stars itself. And while I certainly didn't overrate the Makai Tree Aliens arc, I did appreciate it more than the Dark Kingdom arc. Nehelania's arc was flawed, but still enjoyable, and honestly, I'll put Makai Tree over Nehelania any day of the week, but still. I find shorter arcs easier to sit through, and I know that sounds harsh, but longer arcs run the risk of more potential time waste, or, well, just more times it can be bad or have flaws. Having more opportunities doesn't mean the series always capitalized on it. However, when a long arc is done right, I will give credit. I mean, look at the York New City arc, or the Chimera Ant arc of Hunter x Hunter. Prime example of a long arc done right. Another long series I enjoyed and have covered is Cardcaptor Sakura, yet another magical girl anime. And I mean that as a whole. I don't just mean the Clo Card arc, which I said was drawn out, but better than I expected, so credit where's credit due. The Sakura Card arc, while shorter, was amazing, and I even gave it a better score than Sailor Moon S Season 3, since I'd rather rewatch the Sakura Card arc than the Deathbusters arc, in all honesty. Which was still great, mind you. Season 1 of Fairy Tail was pretty darn strong if you ask me, since it had several arcs across 46 episodes, which, might I remind you, was the same exact length as the Dark Kingdom arc. See what I mean? It's this questionable dragging out of a single plot point or subsection that goes on for too long, which makes longer anime zigzag in quality. Now, maybe that's what I get for binging, but if I can consistently watch other series, even if they don't encourage binging, then this is a little bit disappointing. I mean, something like Bobobo, you're not supposed to binge. It's a weird anime, it's a wacky anime that's meant to be watched kind of just as a stupid, one-off laugh. It's very episodic and it's treated that way. However, something like WATV, which looks like it can totally be binged, and does not in the slightest bit give me any reason to believe I should just watch it one episode at a time, makes WATV harder to defend with an argument. Regardless of that fact, I still do like the Dark Kingdom arc, and I hate to throw critical remarks to it, but that's what it gets for being the first in the series. It suffers the most flaws, the fanbase overrates it, and while I do feel like my harsh complaints are, well, a little bit harsh, I still think it's justified, but I don't like to push a lot of negativity on a 5.5 arc. It's better than WATV, but I could realistically see myself going back to WATV before I watch Sailor Moon Classic Season 1 in full again. I will say though, replay value aside, Sailor Moon Season 1 is a lot more justifiable than WATV as a whole for the time it came out and the standards back then. I just find myself rewatching WATV sooner. But anyways, I want to get to my biggest and most important point in this overly long intro now. This arc, as previously mentioned in the Nehelania arc review, is the oddball amongst the fanbase from what I gather. If I had to take a general estimate amongst the fanbase, I could probably say this is the dividing point in the franchise. And, well, people out there were okay with the Nehelania arc, but a few fans, myself included, feel like it should have been mashed into Super S anyways, so it is a pretty big flaw, though I will say I'm glad this arc definitely did capitalize on finishing up Nehelania at the beginning, and we basically got a balls-to-the-walls final battle at the start of the season, so I guess it did work in feeling climactic. Again, it is a dividing point of the series, and real talk, if anything, this is almost the real-life equivalent of the inner Senshi and outer Senshi rivalry. How people, like and want the same thing, but they just have different ways of handling it. Splitting points and just divisive opinions are nothing new for anime in America, and heck, even in my channel. I mean, I originally felt like B3 was a 5 out of 10. Yes, I am actually not referring back to my first review. And while I do like Hellsing Classic more than Ultimate, I can see its flaws in the animation and a few other things. Anyways though, back on Sailor Stars. There are several manga purists who complain the source material did it better. Certain characters were not implemented the best way, and a few plot elements were changed around to make it subjectively less entertaining. And you know what? I do see the complaints here, and I can agree with a number of the critiques I hear on other arcs. I'm not gonna lie, I do think the manga is a much better version of Shadow Galactica. In addition to the characters being kind of hacked in quality with the following changes. I mean, sure, they gave the Starlights more screen time, and they made them gender benders to have more male appeal, and to make more toys with short hair from what I hear, but I don't really know if that's true or not. I can see the frustrations. The plot does retain a general structure, with a few things changing, like the new characters, villains, and of course the fights and motivations. And despite it retaining a general structure, the changes I do admit are a bit disappointing when the manga did tell it in a much better way. Though I have seen a number of defenders who believe the manga, while having its strength, shouldn't be compared to the anime in this way, since Sailor Moon had already strayed from the manga even as early as the Dark Kingdom arc, and people love the changes there. Another reason I find the mindless praising of the DD girls, Brainwash Endymion, and Barrel/Metallic 3-phase final fight a contradictory mess. So they feel the other arc's strength for the manga, as the changes have been, done before, can't exactly be an exclusive complaint pinned on Sailor Stars. They also tend to point out while it greatly strays, it does achieve the same end results, just with a different method. And I see both sides of the argument on this one. I can understand the disappointment for the manga's better bits being caught out in the eyes of attackers. However, I do agree that Sailor Stars is not all that bad. So let us finally start the character segment.
Fighter Star Power!
Okay, I don't think I'm going out on a limb to say that the characters are what most people complain about this arc, though I still think a few of them are good, even if we do have a few lows. I'll start with Chibi Chibi since I can get out of the way fairly quickly. She essentially acts as the fill-in for Chibiusa, due to Usagi's daughter finally deciding to go back to the future. On one hand, I am a little bit let down as I want to see Chibiusa get a little bit more closure, but the Nehelenia arc basically did that, so I guess it's fine. Chibi Chibi is a mysterious little gal who, according to Pluto, has no ties to Usagi in the future. This is more of a setup to the surprise reveal of Chibi Chibi's importance later on as Sailor Chibi Chibi, and while I do think it's cute, it's kinda obvious, in addition to the fact that they tried to pull this with Chibiusa earlier. Chibi Chibi doesn't really talk except for saying her name like a Pokemon, and well, I certainly find her cute, and the reveal was helpful. I mean, she certainly was useful, don't get me wrong. It just doesn't feel as impactful, and being introduced to this late on, I mean, okay, I get it, they wanted to make it a surprise, and they had to make it work with Chibi Chibi only being introduced here, and they made the most of it. I guess I'm just a little bit let down by it being a little anticlimactic. Again, she is useful, and the final fight is still climactic. I just found her role, well, not really as filling to my figurative hunger. Next, we have the 4 new Sailor Guardians from another galaxy that was previously destroyed by the main villain, who we'll get to in a bit. Princess Kaiku is the Queen Serenity equivalent of these Guardians from another galaxy. She's the leading figure as well as a decent person with a soft heart, yet troubled will. She doesn't do all that much similar to Chibi Chibi until her reveal, but she does act as a good motivation for her 3 Guardians, the Sailor Starlights, which we'll cover in a second. And I do like how she does add to the lore of the Sailor Guardians outside of the solar system. I mean, we've been told on several times, and even what the other planets have with their respective Sailor Guardians, other galaxies and other planets would have their Sailor Guardians as well. So it does build the world quite nicely, showing there is more Guardians outside the solar system. So it's a welcome addition, even if it is a little bit later than I'd like. Though, I'm not complaining too much, and Sailor Stars, at the end of the day, still does build the world. It just comes a little too late, that's all. Alright, now for the most controversial part of the arc. The 3 Starlights, or, well, the Guardians of Princess Kaiku. Okay, before we cover them individually, I want to get out of the way the controversial talk in regards to the cross-dressing females versus gender-bending powers across the adaptations. I know, this is widely considered, like, the most Sailor Moon has pushed its luck in terms of the fan service and controversial aspects. I mean, I've already said I didn't mind the swapping of character sex or the LGBTQ2P relationships in the rest of the series. I mean, it doesn't go overboard to the point of forced fan service, but there are times where they did push their luck, and I'll admit this definitely was one of them. I mean, while that is subjective in of itself, I was already fine with the gay dynamic between Zoisite and Kunzite, and I enjoyed Haruka/Uranus and Michiru/Neptune's lesbian dynamic. And Fish's Eye, while a bit weird, was actually pretty funny for a cross-dressing character, and he did start the eventual doubt and redemption of the Amazon trio, so it did what it was supposed to at the end of the day. So the whole war of which is better, females who cross-dress, or females/male/non-binaries who gender bend to other galaxy residents, is an argument I really don't wish to partake in. Though I will say this though, I don't remember where specifically. Heck, I think maybe it may have been like a YouTube comment section, maybe another review. I don't remember specifically, but somewhere I heard the reason why they made the Sailor Starlights this way was to, one, have more male representation, apparently, and also because they wanted to sell toys with shorter-haired guardians. Now, Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn kind of already fit that bill, so I don't even know if that's true or not, but the whole cheap ponytails rather than new hair, I guess, sort of, like, makes sense, but that's not my gripe. Apparently, this gender swap of the 3 Starlights and lack of power from Tuxedo Mask was the reason the author didn't want to make any male Sailor Guardians. Now, I don't really know why they would say that now when this is the last arc anyways, and in addition to that, Tuxedo Mask is not a very good Guardian in all lines. I get it, this is a magical girl anime, but they certainly could make it more accessible to a male crowd. I mean, I compared Cardcaptor Sakura and Sailor Moon all the time. And as a dude, I enjoy Cardcaptor Sakura more because the male characters actually do something worth a damn. Don't just be generic side characters or cliche villains. And even when there are good ones like Nephrite or Demand, it kind of just fades as you get deeper into the series when you see they just introduce more female characters after. But regardless, I know I bring up the lopsidedness of males versus females in several series, not just this one. I mean, I even said in Transformers, the lack of female characters could probably make it harder for a girl to enjoy that. But my girlfriend loves Transformers, so I think that's not too big of an issue. But anyways, I'm sorry, I'm going off track. Sailor Moon has done its male characters right, whether it be Nephrite, Ale, Wise Man, Dr. Tomoe especially, and even the entire Amazon trio, as weird as they were, had a good dynamic. Like, I find this, saying of, oh, the Sailor Starlights should be females, or why are they non-binary? You trying to make them male for fan service? I feel like it's more of like a political shaming, or lack of effort. Since I would have loved to see more male Guardians, or at the very least more male characters who had more screen time. Since Tuxedo Mask, I mean, he works as a love interest. I think Mamoru works as a love interest for Usagi. However, in regards to being a Guardian, Tuxedo Mask left a lot to be desired, since he's not very supporting of Usagi in terms of the magic combat. I mean, in romance, yeah, I guess, but like, this is a magical girl anime, and if your magical dude can't really support his gal, then what's the point? Again, I don't know for sure if that's the reason why the author didn't make any more, and I really hope it's not, as I don't need any more controversy in anime when I watch it for fun, but it really does make me wonder. I mean, I don't watch Rising of the Shield Hero to complain about it representing sexual assault or rape culture. I watch it because I want to see Naofumi proved he was framed by mine. So, the less politics I can think about in anime, the better. I mean, anime is just too damn political anyways, and I just want to watch it to have fun. And if you don't like it, then don't watch it. I mean, if you think Rising of the Shield Hero, is supposedly supporting this, then I doubt that because, one, Naofumi never actually did anything. He was framed, and the series made a way to show it, but instead of, bashing, mine, the female character that actually did the crime of framing, you bash Naofumi, but then people say, okay, well, Naofumi was, the victim, he was framed, but then you bash the devs, and it's like, people, anime, I get, there's a lot of controversial stuff in anime, and all this freaking censoring, but honestly, if you don't like it, don't watch it. You don't need to prevent season 2 all because you feel the need to push your personal politics on a TV show that really is unrelated. I mean, if you're getting that desperate for political attention that you're willing to delay season 2 of an anime, or just stop an anime or censor it outright, or even just TV in general, I think you got serious problems. But again, I'm not here to be Mr. Politics Social Justice Lecturer 101. I'm here to talk about Sailor Moon. Alright, sorry for that very political tangent. I did the same thing with the Jadeite discrimination speech, but with people out there constantly making it that way, I feel the need to speak my own personal opinion on the matter. The three Starlights themselves. As previously stated, in the anime adaptation, they disguise themselves by gender bending as a boy band so they can search for their leader, Princess Keiku, and the fabled Light of Hope to dispel the evil that nearly destroyed their entire planet. I'll just refer to the Starlights by he/him pronouns, because with their gender bending dynamic being a bit complicated, in addition to these being, creatures from another planet, I think it's just safe to call them male despite being technically non-binary, and with Sailor Moon not really having a lot of male characters anyways, I guess I might as well, and it's just less confusing to say they/them in script writing. I will say though, a few of them I do put over the other Guardians. Mainly their leader, who, shockingly, I will put over Haruka/Uranus, who, might I remind you, used to be my favorite, but dropped upon recent analysis of her moments. That leader in question is Seiya, aka Sailor Starfighter. I think Seiya is a better character and rival figure to the Guardians than the Outer Senshi. Sure, I get the Deathbust arc, they were troubled, but they still did kinda act bitchy past that, and it carried over here. Like, you felt obligated to get the 3 talismans since you'd effectively be killing people, so you pushed Sailor Moon aside so she didn't feel responsible by distancing yourself from her. I get that, you don't want Usagi to feel like she murdered people. However, why do you still act so doubtful even throughout Sailor Star Season 5? As a whole, even after she proved herself in the second to last episode where you both fought and saw her power. This works better for Seiya due to being from a completely different galaxy and having a completely different culture. See, I find this more understandable than the case of the Outer Senshi. While yes, the Inner Senshi and Outer Senshi, well, of course, have their differences. They're all from the same solar system and they're all on planet Earth. These are beings, as I said before, from a completely different galaxy and planet, so it makes a lot more sense, in addition to them not wanting to involve others who might potentially get hurt or jeopardize the planet. The role of the Sailor Guardians is to protect their planet and by that token, the galaxy it's in, so the mission is the same, just the way of handling it is different. I mean, Seiya is true to his mission like Haruka. Heck, both do the whole Bunhead nickname thing Mamoru did, which of course makes Usagi pout until she found out Haruka was female and Seiya was non-binary. However, the difference between Starfighter is that he wants to achieve his mission and he is willing to seek help in the solar system's guardians, even if he has to, well, kinda doubt himself at first. Sailor Starfighter kinda has that doubt angle amongst his group in a similar vein to Sapphire from the Black Moon Clan. I do find the romantic side of him and Usagi a bit forced, though. I mean, I like the lonely Usagi element of this arc. It literally opens up with Mamoru killed in the first episode as he was on a plane and the other scouts didn't even know it. But it does lose points for this being the last arc, and Seiya isn't the best ship for Usagi, honestly. I do think it was more one-sided as Usagi looked to Seiya for comfort, and Seiya certainly gave Usagi that, but he kinda did grow genuine feelings as it went on. And, well, Mamoru and Usagi are destined to love, in addition to getting the build-up through the rest of the series anyways, so it fails to hit its mark, but thankfully they both do end on a good note at the very end when Mamoru finally is reunited to Usagi's side. I just find it a bit rushed, that's all. It does add a more better lonely arc to Usagi, and I still think it's more tolerable than the whole dream breakup, romance drama subplot they had in the Black Moon Clan arc, and at the end of the day, I'll certainly take it. So, while I do find the romantic interest of Seiya and Usagi really tacked on, I'm not gonna lie though when I say I think Seiya is a much better character than Haruka looking back on it. The Starlights also get unique attacks. Here is Sailor Starfighter / Seiya's.
Star Sirius Laser!
Next up is Yaten, also known as Sailor Star Healer. He's the more introverted of the bunch. I mean, he is able to open up with others, especially given the fact that he has to keep up the boy band persona he and the rest of the Starlights hide behind. But Yaten is easily the the least chatty of the bunch. Wow. Me not reading the script correctly has been a thing for this channel, but still, I feel the need to keep it in because it feels kind of funny. Anyways. The show's Sailor Star Healer is the more magic-driven of the bunch, being able to sense things and act kind of like the Supernatural edition. Kind of like how Rei / Sailor Mars had the Shrine Maiden thing, which allowed her to tap into magical abilities before she became a Sailor Guardian. And I can see a lot of comparisons between Sailor Mars and Yaten / Sailor Star Healer. However, unlike Sailor Mars, who actively lets her rage slip out and almost kind of embraces it, Yaten / Sailor Star Healer keeps it in, almost bottling it up. It's a good idea, showing how letting your rage ventilate versus keeping it bottled up can have its, pros and drawbacks, but it's a little underplayed with the minimal screen time. I mean, it worked better in the case of Seiya since they made his thing work with the minimal screen time, but Yaten, not so much. I still like how Yaten doesn't quite agree with Seiya in siding with the solar system, and it feels more justified than what the Outer Senshi did since, as I said before, these are residents from another galaxy, and honestly people, Can you really blame them? I mean, you wouldn't want to involve yourself in the affairs of others, since one, you'd be putting in a lot of efforts where you're not really needed, and you'd also potentially make enemies of the people you were citing. Now here's Sailor Star Healer's attack.
Star Sensitive Inferno!
Now for Taiki, aka Sailor Star Maker. Okay, yeah, this one I don't really like that much. I find myself least interested in him. Maybe that's because he's the contrast to Mercury, but still. I mean, he has the smarts like Omni/Mercury, but he doesn't put in the efforts where he isn't confident, unlike Mercury, who at least tried no matter what. Taiki is the neutral of the bunch, who does see the value and support from the solar system's guardians, but does agree that involving them is a risky decision. I'm all for neutral characters, but Taiki is... meh. I mean, he eventually sides with Yaten when it got desperate, and it's in his character due to his smarts versus effort thing he's shared and differed from Mercury in, but it's not all that well written, since, well, yes, he did doubt the Guardians. Even though he was neutral at first, he eventually sides with them by the end after getting desperate again, so it feels a little bit tacked on. I mean, it took until the reveal of Princess Kaiku and the eventual finale for Yaten and Taiki to finally set aside their expectations and fight alongside Seiya and the other Guardians, but I still think it could have been done better. I mean, I do like flawed characters. Flawed characters are hard to write, don't get me wrong, but in the case of Taiki, it just doesn't quite work. Like, I know I said the same thing for Mercury, but honestly, Mercury at least got it better, because I could see Mercury put in the effort, even when she didn't need to. Sailor Star Maker, well, he's smart, but... And I understand, the thing of not pushing your luck, not risking what it's not worth, don't be a gambler. If it's not worth it, don't try. I get that. That's a logic I perfectly get, but here it's more played as a, well, frustration/tension point between the other Starlights and the other Guardians. Rather than it being more of a personality trait, it's more used as a plot device, and that's kind of sad. I mean, there's nothing bad about being smart yet wrong. I mean, similar to Mercury, both he and her want the same thing, to stop the evil threats, but when stuff like this happens, it doesn't feel believable or really all that natural. It's like, okay, I don't mean to hate on Taiki, since, well, the outfits, for the Sailor Starlights are all the same. A problem that people say because they're really, really fan servicey, looking like dominatrix outfits. I feel like Taiki's fits the least. I feel like it could work with Seiya and Yaten, but for Taiki, not so much. And the attack?
Star Gentle Uterus!
What?
Star Gentle Uterus!
Did they?
Gentle Uterus!
Hang on. Huh?
Uterus! Uterus!
Uterus!
I would write a joke about that, but I'd feel too dirty. In addition to others on YouTube already saying stuff about that, so I'm just not even gonna go there. Yeah, that's good. I mean, Sailor Moon attack names were never great, but wow, that's... wow. Alright, well, with that said... let's just talk about the last villain faction now. Shadow Galactica. Alright, Shadow Galactica. The last villain faction. For the most part, they hide on Earth under a disguise. Kind of like how the Three Starlights are a boy band, Shadow Galactica works with a TV station called Galaxy TV. This is clever, and they'll have the means to search for targets. Kind of like how Mugen Academy had the database search. Shadow Galactica being in a TV station puts them in the perfect spot for doing a bit of investigating on targets, since they'll have tons of footage for people out there to track. Yet it also makes sense for when they hypothetically are wrong or right. So it really is a race against time for the heroes and villains to either save and or, well, gain the star seeds. The monsters/minions of the raid have never been great. with the only exception being the Deathbusters Demon Egg entities. I did like the variety of numerous creatures the Yoma demons had, but the strategies were really overdone. And while the rainbow crystals in select humans were a great idea, it was easily solved by an upgrade that came up out of nowhere as an easy solution to just heal them without the need for putting any attacks in, taking away any attention for harming the human that they could have been there. If the Dark Kingdom arc used more strategies apart from the DD girls, I would have been more optimistic. The tarot theme for the Guardians was cool but really underplayed, which is understandable to being anime exclusive and a short arc. The droids in the Black Moon clan were stupid, and on occasion a threat, but really not that good. I've already gone into great detail why the Daemons were great in the Deathbusters arc video. And while the Dead Moon Circus Lemurus are, well, more of a theme and they do connect well, it does make them feel a bit one-track, in addition to just being weird circus acts to begin with. How are the phages, which are the new monster/minions of the week? Well, I got great news. The monster/minions of the week, the previously mentioned phages, are basically one-off Sailor Guardians that are corrupted. Now, the Demon Egg entities are still better overall, but the phages are a good concept and have the most balance of males and females, in addition to fights and, well, just kind of variety, which is surprising for the shortest arc. The phages are basically corrupted guardians who emerge from humans who have their star seed removed, which is, well, the thing villains are trying to gather this arc. I mean, it went from life energy in the original to killing to pure heart crystals to dream mirrors and now star seeds. Now, I know it sounds like an innuendo, but it's basically this little crystal thing that allows people to sprout life from. So, there. This means the guardians have to snag the seed in order to bring back the humans to life. And they can't just break it because it will kill both them and the human. In addition to the fact that, well, the Sailor Guardians are pacifist enemies. Remember how I said I dislike how every fight had Usagi literally forced to deal the last blow? The reason why I didn't like this was because, well, it made a lot of the other Guardians', well, abilities obsolete. I mean, sure, the strongest 7 Yomas and the Rainbow Crystals were an exception since, well, they needed to purify them, in addition to the one droid that enters dreams. However, it made the other Guardians' abilities really situational, and, well, Sailor Moon, since she's the main character, would get the gracious honor of finishing them due to main character immunity. I wish they implemented this here, because now they give me a reason for why Sailor Moon has to be the one to deal the last blow. I wish they thought of it earlier, but I am glad that they did it regardless. So, all in all, yeah, the Demon Egg entities and the phages are easily the best monster/minions of the week, which, okay, they're still not, like, great. I think the phages are just good, and the Demon Egg entities are great, but even so, I am glad that they did recover quite a bit. Now, how about the elites? Now, I've gone on in every other review about how the elites are usually the best part of the villain factions. How about here? The Sailor Anima Mates, as they call them. Yeah, it's actually called Sailor Anima Mates. It's confusing, but still. How do I feel about them? They are the weakest commanders, which is a massive problem. Let me say right now, the Sailor Anima Mates are not bad characters. I mean, they have a pretty diverse personality and a lot more, well, interesting quirks to them. And now, as characters, and again, their unique personalities, makes them pretty interesting. However, as villains, they leave a lot to be desired. Again, while not outright terrible, and the personalities are certainly a contributing factor, you really would hope they would, nail it home with this being the last arc. So why would you not expect them ending with a big bang? And again, sadly, while they are really interesting characters, they're just not effective villains. I mean, I like the idea of corrupted Sailor Guardians, and this carries over to the elites as well, but it makes them better as sides than actual proper threats, which is contradictory to their portrayed role as commanding elites. Especially when the fights with the elites in the past are so good. But it feels super empty with these having really good personalities and certainly a lot more to go off of, but no unique abilities apart from shooting the same starseed extracting blast from their bracelets. And that's assuming they even get fights to begin with, since some don't even get that much in this arc. I mean, sure, Nephrite didn't have a final fight with the Guardians directly, but he did fight the plant Yoma demons, dueled the Tuxedo Mask and the other Guardians in other episodes, and had shown off his powers on many occasions. Am I going to take off points for every villain that doesn't get a big fight? No, I mean, look at Sapphire, who I said was a great character, and while I did remark I would have liked him to show off some degree of power, I guess it makes sense since, well, he was the technology support of the Black Moon Clan. Kind of like how Udiel's Firebuster attack was more technological than magic. Plus, with Sapphire being the doubtful one, it makes sense he didn't get a great big fight. I just wish he tried to defend himself in some way from Wise Man, even if it was probably intended to be a surprise kill. A better example might lie in the Amazon Trio, who did use their whips, but didn't have unique abilities, but they did have unique personalities. In addition to the Amazon Trio just being more comedic baddies anyways, I'm willing to forgive that there. And also, the Amazon Nest Quartet took over afterwards, and they certainly got the power and fight treatment to make up for it. Even other series have done no-fight villains, right? I mean, look at Legato Blue Summers from Trigun. He's my favorite villain. I love him that much that I made the entire ending segment of the Trigun review just saying he could have been perfect if they gave him a fight, but they didn't. Even so, he's a great character, and while the lack of fight is disappointing, I can't deny Legato is my favorite villain in Trigun. I just wanted a great cherry on top of an already good character. Same can be said for Shader from Chrono Crusade. She didn't exactly get a fight, and she wasn't my favorite of the Sinners, but she was a good villain, and she did use her, power of her tail whip, but even then, it's small, but it works, because, again, she's the support role of the Sinners anyways. I mean, her tail power is literally just used to help Janai in the fight with Father Remington, so that's proof she's the support role, in addition to being a more funsy, cutesy catgirl demon who gets giddy at the mention of a festival and wears a lab coat and sandals. See, Shader doesn't need a fight to be a good villain. However, antagonists like Lila from WATV, the God Hand from Berserk, Pharaoh 90 from the Deathbusters arc, and Mandrake from High Guardian Spice getting pitifully short fights or none at all is a lot less entertaining. Again, I don't hate villains who don't get fights. If this wasn't the last season, this would have worked well with the Redemption arc, but half the anime animates didn't even get direct fights, and the Redemption arcs are very questionable. Like, is it really so wrong for me to want that with this being the final arc? Even the ones that did put up some margin of resistance weren't as memorable. I'd say the Witches 5 got better duels with their special buster attacks and more noticeable encounters. Keep in mind, half of the Witches 5 got one episode focuses as is. So the personality increase for the animates, while good, is not as easy to appreciate with the lack of flaring fight which the others got. Like, if the Sailor Animamates from Shadow Galactica and 4 Phantom Sisters from the Black Moon Clan swap place, I'd be much more accepting, as Black Moon Clan had the Bull Brothers Kyril and Icarvil, who did get a decent fight, even if relegated to one episode, Rubius, who got an amazing fight, Esmeralda, while hateable and the Dragon finale wasn't that great, it was still a good surprise and a decent way to put down her. And Sapphire didn't need a fight, but he was still a good character. And Demand basically got one of the best fights. I mean, he literally got a DBZ-style energy clash with Wiseman, and it's really cool no matter if you group Demand with the big bads or make him an elite. Anyways, I spent longer rambling about the circumstances than the actual elites, so let's cover the Shadow Galactica elites in question. Sailor Iron Mouse is the small, sneaky brat of the group. She finds a target, tries to take its seed, and lets the phage do work once it's confronted. If any elite can be justified by the no-fight gig, it is Sailor Iron Mouse. With her being the youngest, I understand not wanting to animate a kid get massively hurt. It also fits given her rat-like nature to not put up a big fight, instead getting trapped and punished. So I'm not too annoyed by her lack of fight. With Sailor Iron Mouse getting the most episodes being the first elite introduced, I was hoping for a little bit more of a struggle. I mean, seriously, J-Dot got away with it constantly, and then we got a great fight which lets you unleash all that internal anger, even if the discriminating monologue in J-Dot's case was pretty cringe. Sarah Aluminum Siren is an interesting one in terms of personality. I do think she is the best, and I'd put her above a few of the other Arcs elites. I mean, her personality is kind of ditzy, kind of airheaded, kind of lazy even. This is very different from the evil or I would destroy you, villain types we've seen thus far. I mean, she's paired up with the next commander for missions despite her being scolded for not taking it seriously. Aluminum Siren and the next elite, though, get enough screen time and moments to be relevant, unlike Calvaris and Pets, who disappointingly got mashed together in the Black Moon Clan arc. And that was for their focus episodes, not just their fight, mind you. Aluminum Siren's playful nature kind of reminds me of Pala Pala from Super S Season 4. However, unlike Pala Pala, she does get serious in battle. She was one who actually got a fight, as brief as it was. I feel like the plane encounter ripoff, though, well, again, it kind of rips off those cheesy spy hostage on a plane action movies. It does serve as a good excuse for the identity reveal between the Scouts and the Starlights, and Aluminum Siren's duel, while there, is nowhere near as memorable as other Arcs elites. I find her awkward rivalry/romance with the next elite a good addition to the LGBTQ2B+ representation, which I've already complimented for Zoisite, Kunzite, Uranus, Neptune, Fish's Eye, etc, etc, etc. I probably shouldn't focus on that. But yeah, I do see kind of the lesbian dynamic between Sailor Aluminum Siren and the very, very next elite, Sailor Lead Crow. She's probably the most noticeable in design. I mean, she's got a darker outfit, more dominant personality, a whip, which I guess can make up for the lack of power, since the Amazon trio had whips and they used them, and, well, Sailor Lead Crow did too, but whatever. I mean, I might be overanalyzing on her relation to, Aluminum Siren, but I did kind of see a lesbian affection between the two. I mean, Lead Crow doesn't exactly, Lead Crow doesn't exactly put down, Aluminum Siren for being lazy. She more just complains saying, we gotta get this done, but she also does have a soft side letting her get away with it. Even when Galactica was about to punish Aluminum Siren, Lead Crow tries to stand up for her, in addition to the fact that, Lead Crow also showed concern for Siren when she was lazy, so it showed that there was a mutual respect, even if they were very different. And I do think it did kind of have a lesbian affection. Again, I might just be overanalyzing, but still. And if anything, it's a tragic romance, since, one of them never got to see the other in that light, and the other one died before it could truly do anything about it. Crow technically fought, but it got snagged by the last elite. And while I certainly found Crow's doubt angle good, I also like how the doubt angle this time wasn't used as the I'm going to doubt and turn around. It's more of I doubt but play along anyways. Kind of similar to what Kunzite did, where he didn't exactly like working with Beryl, but he still stuck by her side anyways, even though she killed Zoisite. Sailor Lead Crow kind of tied into that a little bit, but even so, it's just not as good, and if I can say anything, Kunzite definitely had it better. Though, I think it goes without saying, because the four Kingsmen of Heaven aren't my favorite elites. One thing the Dark Kingdom arc got right. The final elite is Sailor Tin Nyanko, a cat character I really don't care for, and that's quite sad too, considering I usually love cat characters, and even cat characters that you're supposed to hate, like Neferpito from Hunter x Hunter, I could get behind because, Neferpito was a great threat, we got a satisfying beatdown, and, Neferpito was just a great addition to the Chimera Ant arc. Even if I don't exactly like Neferpito, I could get behind the writing at least. Tin Nyanko is anything but that. I mean, okay, sure, I do like a strong female character, but being bitchy doesn't equal strong female character. I mean, there are some bitchy characters I like and some strong female characters I like, but it also stands to reason that there are strong female characters I hate, and by that token, bitchy characters I hate as well. Regardless, Sailor Tin Nyanko did get a fight, and it was clever how breaking one of the bracelets allowed her to slip in and out of Galactica's control to leak a little bit more info before being killed by Galactica, removing the other, but I find it just bleh. I find Crow's distaste for Nyanko justified, but keep in mind, Crow wasn't all that great. I mean, Crow was good, passable, but I think it goes without saying, guys, these elites, they just weren't as good this time around. I understand, if this was earlier in the series and we had the no fights, the more subtle elites, this would actually be quite well. But with this being the final series, I was hoping for a much more explosive clash with the elites. And keep in mind, the phages, the basic monster slash minions of the league, were actually pretty good too. So this is quite a letdown. So yes, I'm understandably disappointed with the last elites. I get it. They probably wanted to give them more personality to tap into the four Kingsmen, since, well, past Arc 1, the villain elites got more personality in favor of action, but they still could blend the two. Here, I feel like the blend was not nearly as balanced. And okay, I understand that the, Sailor anime mates are technically brainwashed Sailor Guardians, so the whole "we don't want to fight other Guardians" logic I guess makes sense for the heroes not wanting to kill other Guardians. But it feels really out of place to go down that route. I mean, they were gonna be taken down by Galactica anyways, so it's like if you're gonna kill them, you might as well just have them die in battle, or better yet, have the Sailor Guardians fight them, then Galactica just discards them by the point she sees they're weak. Like, why not do that? They didn't do that, and while I certainly would have liked it, I'll admit I can't exactly complain about what isn't in. Now, okay, automatically this makes the cast seem really mixed. And like I said, Sailor Star's cast is really split, down to the absolute bare middle. And this would make Sailor Stars one of the most disappointing casts. If it weren't for Shadow Galactica's leaders, the big bads. Oh boy. Okay, let me say right now, Galaxia, damn, did I hate her guts with a passion as a kid. However, this makes sense. She's the big final villain. You're supposed to hate her guts. In addition to the fact that they make her a great threat, alongside having the power of chaos, the obviously real big bad, it just goes without saying Galaxia is a great antagonist who really makes you growl with anger, even more so than Jadeite. And keep in mind, Jadeite had that whole cringe discriminating speech. Yep, we have two big bads. While Galaxia certainly is the focus for most of the arc, and I know Chaos in the manga gets a much bigger role, being, the controller of all the other villains and all that jazz, I will say right now that in the anime, Chaos is more used as a Phase 2 shift to the Galaxia fight, in addition to more symbology. And while it sounds disappointing, I'd much rather take it over the "I was the mastermind the whole time," but it still works in both contexts. So yeah, the two big bads, Sailor Galaxia and Chaos, are pretty damn good, if I may say so myself. I'll start with Chaos, since despite Galaxia being an evil Sailor Guardian, I feel like Chaos being the main villain and getting less screen time warrants covering Chaos first. As I said before, Chaos in the manga, and I guess the anime, has had some incarnation in almost every arc. Metalia was part of Chaos, made to manipulate Barrel's jealousy to the point of no return. Makai Tree had no Chaos rep. Wise Man / Death Phantom was Chaos trying to reincarnate and come back directly, but we know that got prevented. Pharaoh 90 was the planet Chaos was born on, supposedly. Dead Moon Circus had no Chaos rep either, though Nehelania had Galaxia tempting her in the Nehelania arc, and I guess by that token it extends over to the Dead Moon Circus arc as well. And here, Chaos is inside of Galaxia, possessing her. Chaos is obviously symbolism for the devil, despair, hatred, pure evil, whatever. And it works, and while not a very interesting character on its own, it does do a good job tying other characters, pointless or not, in a small way. Now, does that redeem Pharaoh 90's lack of screen time and fight? No, but I do appreciate the explanation, all things considered. Galaxia is the real focus of the arc anyway, since Chaos, as I said before, was more used as a last-second reveal in a similar way to Pharaoh 90. Unlike Pharaoh 90, Chaos got a way more tolerable implementation as a Battle Phase 2 shift, which is more than I can say for Pharaoh 90's fight that took place off-screen. But I gotta talk about Galaxia. Sailor Moon has had a track record of hateable villains. Beryl, Esmeralda, Jadeite, Zirconia, Rubius, etc. Man, did they save the most evil for last. And as I said before, I hated Galaxia with a passion, but making her the last villain also makes her just that much more dreadful and makes her an excellent threat. Galaxia wants everything. The starseeds? Check. The planets? It's in her name. Slaughtering enemies? Oh yeah, she does that. Discarding who she deems as useless, even amongst her own kind? Freaking hell, she did this for basically all of the Animamates. I kid you not when I say this is a final villain done brilliantly, as you, the audience, hate her, and the Sailor Scouts hate her too. She sits arrogantly at her throne, just setting up the Sailor Animamates, knowing she can just off them at any time by removing their bracelets. She's also quite powerful, being able to steal starseeds herself, use her Sailor Guardian powers, in addition to being enhanced by the evil demon Chaos's dark magic. And I'd like to say right now, it takes so long for the Guardians to land one hit, and when they do, it feels extremely satisfying. But then Galaxia just shrugs it off and gives the "'tis but a scratch" excuse. All of this makes Galaxia a very apparent threat, since she just has such large assets at her disposal. In addition to that, she gets a death scene even better than the DD Girls and Nehalania, and she nearly won. With this being the last villain, you'd hope she came the closest, and boy, she was. It really makes you wonder, what can the Sailor Guardians do? This is a corrupted being of their own kind, and if anything, we show the Sailor Guardians don't exactly like fighting amongst one another. Even if they're from different Guardians, different galaxies, different planets, different ways, they still have the goal of protecting, and here's one of the Sailor Guardians, evil or not, that is literally trying to destroy and claim and conquer all. I mean, still... this is like one of the Sailor Guardians who stopped caring for her place to protect. She destroyed her planet since she deemed them evil, got drunk for power, and carries her conquest even afterwards. And Galaxia's actions show she has the malice, the will, and the means to do so. Like I said, how on earth are they gonna beat this bitch? But more importantly, who is safe from her? We see that she wants to rule all and will destroy planets to ensure it's so. Even her own minions and commanders are terrified by her, and we see this. It makes the battle against Galaxia seem fruitless, as she did so much damage with minimal trouble, a wicked grin, and an arrogant laugh. And when the Sailor Guardians do manage to hit her or do some sort of damage, it takes them so long, and it really makes the battle feel extremely lopsided and hopeless, nailing what this arc was trying to go for, hope versus despair. At the end, this is what makes the final fight so good. I might prefer the multi-phase dynamic of Demand, Wicked Lady, and Wise Man's Death Phantom in the Black Moon Clan arc, but this is a close second. I can't even... It is really hard for me to describe, because I used to hate Galaxia with a burning passion, but that's how she's supposed to be written. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think she's a bitch, I think she's hateable, but that's what the main villain is supposed to be. She was written that way, they portrayed her that way, and she was intended to be taken that way. So at the end of the day, they definitely delivered on that, and they made her a really, really good hateable villain. I mean, heck, we have 5 entire episodes dedicated to the Galaxia/Chaos fight, and it makes the stakes and encounter dreadful, but it does make the victory all the more relieving. I mean, okay, even if the elites are the weakest, and the Monster/Minions of the Week are certainly better than they have been in the past, and while I will admit the Starlights are a bit of a weird addition, a few of them are good, and while Sailor Chibi Chibi and Princess Kakyu don't do much, I do like how they built the world. Literally, Galaxia and Chaos almost carry this cast. Almost. Professor Tomoe kind of carried, the other Witches 5 that didn't get much screen time. But the other 3 Witches 5 did get a pretty good amount of screen time. And in addition to that, the Monster/Minions of the Week were good. And the rest of Sailor Moon S's cast was good anyways. But Galaxia could have carried some of the more questionable cast members. Now, she doesn't carry all of them, don't get me wrong, that might be pushing it a little bit. However, it definitely makes the finale really good to pull through. Now, how do I feel about the characters as a whole? Just cast-wise. Again, not just based on, the villains and the mains. I'm talking like, sides, Monsters Mains League. I'm just talking general cast. Everything. Everything is factored in. I'm going to rank now what I believe is my personal opinion of the casts as a whole. For clarification, I'm doing this by the season and not the arc. So, twin arc seasons like Makai and Black Moon Clan and Nehelani and Shadow Galactica will be mashed into R and Sailor Stars. Starting from least favorite to most favorite. Okay, my least favorite is Classic Season 1. I like the 4 Kingsmen of Heaven, however, everyone else just didn't really get it all that well. After that, I'm going to put Super S Season 4. I have a soft spot for Super S, but that doesn't really lie in the characters, and I can admit that's definitely one of the weaker parts of Super S. Then I'd put Sailor Stars right in the middle, because I think there is enough here, even if there's a lot of questionableness. I'd put R Season 2 as the second best, and of course the best is S Season 3. Now, that I finally ranked the cast just based on personal taste. Again, personal taste. I think it's finally time to move on to the audio.
All right. I promise, I won't lose!
Please welcome our 2 finalists!
You can do it, Ami!
Hang in there, you're gonna do great!
Look at that outfit, I'm so very proud.
Let's just waste no time talking about the audio and show the clips, because as I stated in the other reviews, which you should watch before this one anyways, the audio in Sailor Moon has just stayed consistently good, and even if it wavers from time to time, it's still enjoyable, and Sailor Stars is no exception. And if I may say so myself, I think these tracks are better than ours. Now, S's still edges it out since I freaking love S, and S had more diversity in its soundtrack. However, I will say though that while ours certainly had a few individual tracks I'd listen in a heartbeat over Sailor Stars, again, as a collective and just the individual tracks, I find certainly more enjoyable. Like the villain themes, for instance. Okay, though, there are actually 2 exceptions. I'm not gonna lie, I think the Phage battle theme isn't really that fitting. I mean, the whole Hawaiian Giddy startup, I don't know, it just feels a little too doofy for the Phages, in addition to this being the last arc, and while Galaxia's first theme certainly is really, really good, now the second theme tries to go for this more, sad kind of, thing to tie into her past, but I mean, Galaxia's not really supposed to be that sympathetic anyways. I mean, they gave her a reason for doing what she's doing, but you're not exactly supposed to feel, sorry for her. I mean, it's clear that she made the wrong decision and she regrets it, but you're not supposed to, sympathize with her. So, I feel like the whole sad Galaxia's second theme doesn't quite work as well, but the first theme more than makes up for that, and the second theme's pretty short anyways, and even the villain tracks all around are still pretty good. And the fight tracks, transformation tracks, they do the job nicely. Much like the Outer Senshi tracks, I don't know anyone who outright hates the theme for the Starlights. I think, as characters, I can understand why people don't like them, but the music that accompanies their scenes is actually pretty darn good. Not as good as the Outer Senshis, but still pretty fitting if you ask me. Alrighty then, now let us rank the soundtracks. And keep in mind, I said all the soundtracks were pretty good, so even the least favorite soundtrack here is still pretty good. Now, let's see. How would I rank them? Like, it's difficult because I love them all, and it's really hard because I feel like putting one of them at the bottom, people are gonna flip over, even though I love all the soundtracks. Okay, I can admit first and foremost, Sailor Moon Super S definitely has the weakest selection of sound. Not bad, mind you. I think Super S definitely didn't have quite as good music. I'll definitely give the fan base that. After that, I'll put Sailor Moon R. Even though I had a lot of tracks I liked in R, my most recent listening of Sailor Moon Sailor Stars has definitely increased my opinion of Sailor Moon Sailor Stars. So, okay, to recap, my least favorite is Sailor Moon Super S. After that is Sailor Moon R, even though I love R. After that is Sailor Moon Sailor Stars. And after that is actually Sailor Moon Classic, because if anything, I really love the retro music of Sailor Moon Classic. So there definitely is one thing the Dark Kingdom art got right, was the music really was retro. I love that. And then, of course, Sailor Moon S once again at the top. It's no secret that I love Sailor Moon S, so I'm not going to act like it is. And yeah, the music all along was really good. Even Super S had some really good tracks. I just have my favorites, Alright. But now it's time to cover the story. And I did cover most of, the Animamates, the Sailor Starlights, and all that jazz, the phages, and the character segment. So really, I'm going to be more talking about the finale more than anything in the story segment. And will I stick to my guts and defend what I liked even if the fanbase disagrees? Or has my most recent watch through made me become one of the gripers? Let's see.
Prepare yourself! Sailor Moon!
It is finally time to talk about the story. Now, as I previously stated, I went over basically all of the plot crucial bits, like Mamoru dying in the intro of episode 1. I also went over Seiyun Usagi's weird fill-in lonely romance. I also talked about, the Starlights, Princess Kakyu, and Chibi Chibi, in addition to the Sailor Animamates and Sailor Galaxia wanting to claim everything. So, real talk, I'm going to use more of this section to talk about the finale, which, at the end of the day, really is the focus anyways, since, there's been 5 episodes on the final battle alone, and even the episodes before that were building up the story with the Animamates and the Sailor Guardians and Sailor Starlights trying to come together. I do want to apologize for going over most of the characters' stories themselves in the characters segment, but then again, that's kind of what the characters segment is for, and even then, with this being the last bit of Sailor Moon anyways, making it a bit longer only makes sense. Alright, so after Sailor Tin Yonko nearly reveals who the mastermind is, because, she had one of the bracelets allowing her to slip out of Galaxia's control, Galaxia kills her and then tries to go after Kakyu, the princess of, the Starlight's kingdom, and basically manages to kill her, forcing the Sailor Guardians, inner and outer, in addition to the Starlights, to team up and defeat Galaxia. She sits arrogantly, challenging them to come to her throne, which is hidden below Galaxy TV. It's a pretty climactic finale, honestly. We basically had Kakyu die literally in front of the Starlights, in addition to several other things happening, the inner/outer Senshi still acting a little bit untrustworthy, but believe me when I say, they are going somewhere with this. We get the Cellular Starlights trying to fight Galactica on their own, but of course they're outmatched, and you're not just gonna beat the main villain with just the three of you. I mean, let's be real here. Then the Outer Senshi try and take on Sailor Galaxia as well, going ahead. And then finally the Inner Senshi decide to head over there as well, because of course they would. They're all Sailor Guardians, they all want the same thing, to protect their planet and their system. And if they have to team up together to do so, then they might as well, as basically everything is in an apocalyptic state, with Galaxia covering the world in darkness, slowly trying to drain everyone's star seeds, in addition to pressuring the Sailor Scouts to come and duel her. Now is where the final battle takes place, which is basically split into multi-phase. Sure, they're all with Galaxia, and they might be shorter phases individually, but this might as well be a 5-phase final fight. The first phase with the Sailor Starlights, the second with the Inner and Outer Senshi, the third, with Usagi and the Starlights themselves versus Galaxia, Usagi versus Galaxia, then Usagi versus Chaos. You might as well divide it that way, even if it's shorter. It's quite the dreadful final fight too. As I said, they take so long to land one hit. And here Galaxia is acting like it's all too easy, being arrogant, smiling, laughing evilly as a villain should. She even kills the other Sailor Guardians instantaneously in front of Usagi's eyes. Now, of course, this does seem more rushed than the DD girls, and Nehelenia especially, but I buy it here because they wanted it to be a surprise, in addition to the fact that she did it all at once to get inside of Usagi's head, as well as it being understandable since the DD girls literally was kind of a stupid death. I mean, the Sailor Guardians, I get it, we're trying to delay them or stop them or whatever, but it's like, come on, people. They could have seen it coming and just stopped, but no, they kept fighting because Usagi had to go after the main villains. And okay, while the Nehelenia fight isn't as guilty of that since it actually showed the process, Nehelenia using new strategies and the Sailor Scouts putting up more of a fight, I think this death is way more impactful due to how fast it is, surprisingly. Galaxia further tries to get inside of Usagi's head by actively admitting and boasting she killed Tuxedo Mask. I mean, wow, this just makes you want to see Galaxia get put down, and it was by the skin of Usagi and the Starlight's teeth that the Outer Senshi managed to pull them out just in time. It also serves as a good breather before the next phase. I do like how Saturn and Pluto are back and able to use all their glory, though I kind of wish Saturn got a transformation sequence. Yeah, Saturn never got an animated transformation sequence in the 90s anime, but whatever. Sailor Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Saturn try to hold their own, and they do a bit better than the Starlights, but Galaxia is just too powerful with Sailor Guardian abilities, the, of course, bracelets that allow to steal star seeds, and of course, added in with the buffed magic of the evil demon Chaos, and it just goes without saying, the Outer Senshi are inevitably gonna fail. However, when things get desperate, Saturn tries to threaten Galaxia with the Silence Glaive, the attack that she literally killed Pharaoh 90 and nearly was going to kill Nehelenia with. But then, Galactica tries to get in her head by revealing she manipulated Nehelenia so Saturn's power would awaken and so she could steal her starseed when it ripened. Seeing they are outmatched, Uranus and Neptune actually decide to betray the other Sailor Scouts and let Galaxia take their starseed and control them with the bracelets. And now this feels really crushing, considering as a kid, I really did hope better for Uranus and Neptune. Mainly just Uranus, but I mean, Neptune, I still feel bad for her because of the romantic dynamic between the two, but still. And it does make sense considering they wanted you to feel uneasy for Uranus and Neptune. They wanted you to feel like, why are they doing this? They're the other Guardians, right? Why would they choose to save their own skins and be beside Galaxia, who we know full well has disposed her other minions, and the other Scouts have seen this firsthand to what she did with Tin Nyanko, so it feels really, really dreadful and really impactful. But then, a hallucination shows this is all part of the plan, and that the other Sailor Guardians had literally planned out everything, even including sacrificing their own lives, and even to the point of faking a betrayal, all so they could have some way to beat Galaxia. And when Uranus and Haruka slash Neptune, or sorry, when Michiru slash Neptune and Haruka slash Uranus finally managed to land a single hit on Galaxia by making them think she was still on their side, it felt really satisfying. I'm like, this is where the battle is gonna start turning. Since, one, they use the attack that steals star seeds, and we know how vulnerable people are without those. So landing a hit was like, damn, yes! But then, oh man, does Galaxia give the biggest no you I've ever seen and claims she has no star seed. Uranus and Neptune are surprised their strategy didn't work and fall defeated before Galaxia, which is really tragic too, since it was such a smart scheme. And yes, while they did kill Hotaru and Setsuna, Neptune and Saturn, they knew it was there, as shown by the hallucination revealing it was all part of the plan. And then Sailor Moon cries, even though she couldn't believe it at first. She still feels bad for them since they're all Sailor Guardians. They all want the same thing. This is basically a war between Sailor Guardians. I've even heard a few people call this arc the Sailor Wars, because really, it kind of is. While the Sailor Scouts don't always directly fight, there is a lot of internal and external politics that conflict with one another, that make the Sailor Guardians feel a lot less unified than they actually are, even if their goals are to protect their planet. It just shows how something evil or something different can really make things turn for the worse. Galaxia being about as worse as it gets. She then reveals that she was actually once the strongest Sailor Scout who ever lived, who managed to seal chaos within her own body, but her planet was still garbage. The place she protected didn't appreciate her, in addition to the fact that her planet was full of bad people, so she stopped caring, and it got to the point that chaos took over her body and made her a power-drunk maniac. It does add some sympathy, I guess, to Galaxia, but it's more played to show that Galaxia made the poor choice of trying to seal chaos in her body for fame and appreciation, when she should have done, well, it to be good, in addition to the fact that there were other ways to defeat chaos, or at least repel chaos. We get a gruesome final fight, but the Starlights, in a scene that I'm sure nobody saw coming, managed to actually overpower Galaxia by combining all three of their attacks in a pretty satisfying blast that manages to be the second major hit. In fact, the Starlights also get another hit, and I guess you might as well consider this 3 hits because each of them put their powers together, so I guess I consider 3 hits, but I'm just counting it by the moment. And then later the Starlights go into these laser run clashes, kind of like the giant dashing, light flashy, stuff you see in Dragon Ball kinda. They do that and manage to hurt Galaxia a few more times before they finally fall weakened from it all, thus prompting Sailor Moon and Chibi of all people to turn into a sword, revealing she is the light of faith. And it also is revealed that Chibi is a creation manifested from Galaxia's star seed. Yeah, Galaxia not having a star seed wasn't just there to be an excuse so Uranus and Neptune's attack didn't work. Chibi is Galaxia's star seed. Now, Chibi's role was different in the manga as Sailor Cosmos / Sailor Sun, but whatever, I'm not talking about the manga and the crystal variants. And then finally, as Sailor Moon nearly dies, Chibi decides to revive her with the Light of Hope for one final attack, and then we get an epic final clash with Galaxia, who is finally taken over fully by Chaos, becoming Sailor Chaos, as some people call her. Sailor Chaos, now using the body of Galaxia, reveals that Galaxia still had some humanity, but Chaos won't let anyone, not even Galaxia herself, tap into it. However, Usagi still believes she can save Galaxia, even though Galaxia has shown to have made so many bad decisions, to have made decisions that, whether by her own will or not, are simply unforgivable, yet Usagi still feels like she can reach out. And we get a symbolic, albeit slightly cheesy scene of Usagi calling out to Galaxia, reaching for her, begging to break free from Chaos's control. Chaos, of course, says it won't work, but Usagi using her power of forgiveness and even, I kid you not, stripping down to the bare minimum to reach out to Galactica causes her to finally see that no matter what amount of despair you have, no matter how much depression, no matter how much you find yourself in unwinnable situations, you don't stop trying. And now the whole naked angel thing is weird, might look like fan service, but to be fair though, it's more played for symbolism. And I mean, they're like portrayals of like naked angels in the Bible or whatever, so I think it's all supposed to be symbolic anyways. And it really is moving to see how far Usagi will go to hold on to her ideals. It just shows Usagi really is pure, and she's so kind-hearted that she is really willing to reach out to someone who is possessed by the equivalent of the devil and still thinks she can reach back. And Galactica does. Chaos breaks free and dissipates into the air, supposedly going back to where it belongs, in all of people's hearts. Galactica and Sailor Moon talk briefly, wondering if Chaos is dead. Of course, he isn't, but Sailor Moon says that everyone has the power to repel chaos by simply clinging on to their hopes, dreams, faith, and most importantly, their close relations. Okay, again, cheesy kind of, friendship is the greatest power thing, but it is a very compelling message, and certainly the final battle more than makes up for it. And you want to know what else more than makes up for it? The aftermath. Remember how everyone loved the DD girls and Demian and Beryl fight I've constantly talked about? I certainly do like that fight, and while I like the Galactica fight more, my main issue with classic Dark Kingdoms arc's finale was what came after it. The memory loss cliche thing was so cheesy and so tacked on, but this ending, while not what I'd call perfect, is about as best as it gets, and it honestly is the best ending to the Sailor Moon 90s anime. And that is the true ending, and literally the best ending of any of the arcs. Honestly, I'm not even kidding. I don't think you can even remotely question this. Well, okay, yes, final battles may have been better here or there. I mean, I certainly prefer the Wise Man and Demian and not the Wise Man. The Demand, Wise Man, and Black Lady / Wicked Lady fights of R. I think that was a better final battle overall. However, the ending here is literally perfect. The final battle, while not nearly as good, is still fantastic, and the payoff afterwards feels worth it. That's another reason why I didn't really like Classic all that much, because the ending with the memory loss cliche feels kind of like, what? Like it's disappointing. And now Sailor Moon R had it better, but then they gave it a clip show episode as the very last one. That's kind of lame. And Sailor Moon S, okay, it ended good, but Pharaoh 90 didn't get a fight. And it's in fact the last 2 episodes weren't even dedicated to Pharaoh 90, and our last fight was dedicated to a loose Daemon, made it a bit disappointing. We know Super S had the infamous cliffhanger. This is the best ending in terms of the seasons as we got, and it's no question. It's conclusive, it ends the series really well, and most importantly, there's nothing left open. Okay, maybe wondering why did they show Usagi Mamoru's wedding, blah blah blah. I mean, okay. There was a lot of stuff Sailor Moon had a hard time portraying, and okay, I know, they were probably squeezed for screen time, but honestly, even if you guys may not agree with me on Sailor Stars as a whole, I do think we can agree the ending is the most conclusive of the individual seasons. And I'd even say better than the arcs that did get good endings like Makai or Nehelania, which could have ended like that. But honestly, this ending is about as good as it gets. And if anything, it's proof that the ending can save a series. I've talked about in Card Captor Sakura how the Clear Card arc ending almost ruined the series for me. Now, the Clear Card arc isn't necessarily canon, so I guess it's not that big of an issue, but if you consider the Clear Card arc canon and if you want more CCS, then that ending will be a dumpster fire. But here, this ending is brilliant. It fits the best way possible, and while yes, it does stray from the manga, and the manga, I will admit, did have the better ending to this arc, I can safely say it's the best ending of the 90s anime seasons. And honestly, again, it's proof that an ending can save an anime. I've said, so many different things, can ruin an anime outright. but none of them are as big as an ending. But for an anime to be saved by the ending, that's quite impressive. If anything, this is a season or anime that was saved by the ending more than the Dark Kingdom arc. I honestly think the Dark Kingdom arc, while the final fight was good again, the ending that came afterwards and the conclusion, in quotation marks, felt really, really lackluster for the fight that came before it. So the fight loses points for the aftermath not even being that great. Here, the fight is amazing and the aftermath is even better. All in all, Sailor Moon, Sailor Stars, I will admit, I still don't think I can put over a few of the others. But now it is time for my final ranking of all of the Sailor Moon seasons, just as a whole. I know I talked about the audio and the cast ranking, but the story ranking really is the biggest one that matters. Because anime, for me, is another form of storytelling. Therefore, the story comes first and foremost. You could have an anime that has a really meh cast of characters, meh audio, and meh visuals. But if you have a story that is really conveying, then who cares about audio, visuals, and just okay characters? As long as you make your characters work within the story, because that's what an anime is for me, a story, then I can look past some stuff. Now, there's differing degrees to that here and there, I know, but still. This is my final ranking from least favorite to most favorite of Sailor Moon's arcs. Alrighty then, it's time for my final conclusive ranking, from least favorite to most favorite. Starting with my least favorite. It's no surprise, guys, I don't find Sailor Moon Classic terrible. I said I like it. I gave it a 5.5 out of 10, which means it's above average. Even if only by a little, I do see the enjoyment and innovation of it. It just makes it harder to go back to. But there are stuff Sailor Moon Classic, the Dark Kingdom arc, does get right. And I'll give credit that it is good. I just have a hard time watching it because it's really drawn out and really dragged. Even if there are some good stuff in it. Following that, I'm gonna say Sailor Moon Sailor Stars, since despite how positive I sounded right here, right now, I'm not gonna lie when I say I do find myself wanting to watch the other seasons more, and I think that's definitely proof, because, well, yes, I gave credit to the finale. The finale of Sailor Stars was really, really good. The finale is not everything, and I can see people's frustrations with the stuff building up to it, so I can see that. Now, after that, I'm actually gonna say Sailor Moon R, and, it makes sense, Sailor Moon Sailor Stars had two different arcs, the Nehelania arc and the Shadow Galactic arc. And Sailor Moon R, similarly speaking, did the same thing with two different arcs, Makai Tree Alien and the Black Moon Clan arc. And I think the two arc structure was handled better, in addition to both arcs being a lot more watchable for me. Plus, there was just some things that R did better anyways. Like, the final battle in R was better. I found the opening arc, the Makai Tree arc, honestly better than the Nehelania arc. So I think it goes without saying, R I definitely favored more. And now, okay, I know Sailor Moon Super S is really not, that great in the eyes of the fans, but I do have a really big soft spot for it. And while that might make my opinion of Super S a little bit biased, since nostalgia shouldn't determine anything, I do find this arc actually pretty funny, and when a lot of the comedy in Sailor Moon is pretty hit or miss, I think this arc definitely got the hit right in terms of comedy. And while the cast definitely was a little bit weaker and the music was weaker, the story was really good and added a lot to Chibiusa, in addition to just having some more sillier, fun villains, which I'm sure a lot of people would want out of a series as silly as Sailor Moon. And finally, no surprise, my favorite is Sailor Moon S. I don't need to go into any more reasons why. The screen time was the best used, the characters were the best, the music was the best. Now, it's not perfect. I give it a 9 out of 10 because there are flaws. It is not perfect, and I have seen better magical girl enemies. The Sakura card arc of CCS I like better, and there's even an entire anime I love better than card characters Sakura and Sailor Moon S. However, all that said, Sailor Moon as a whole is an enjoyable series. I paid $200 for all of this, and I chipped off 80 of it, so it really in reality cost $280 for all of this, because I had a gift card, but I'm not going to count the $80 because the gift card was obviously a gift. It's proof that, given the fact that I bought all this, I wanted to give Sailor Moon a fair chance, and given the fact that I watched it with my sister as a kid, I did have an attachment for it. And I'm glad that I finally went back to it, gave it a proper watch through, and gave you guys my honest thoughts. In addition to the fact that, again, I'm not a big long anime watcher, but Sailor Moon was one that coming out of and having known a bit about, I feel better. In addition to the fact that I gave you guys a really, really long review. I mean, the Sailor Moon reviews I had are like the longest ones on my channel. Okay, WTV obviously was longer as an individual video, but I don't think I spent more time on like Sailor Moon individually in content than WATV. So by the end of the day, I appreciate Sailor Moon's value it has for anime in America, and same thing with Dragon Ball. But I can safely say, based on what I've seen in Dragon Ball, and comparing that to the same amount of content, episode and screen time wise I've seen from Sailor Moon, I think Sailor Moon definitely delivered better. Now, again, that's just my subjective opinion because I still have to watch more of Dragon Ball Classic. But before I close this video, I want to say thank you, all of you. Your views means a lot to me. And I mean, heck, one of my coworkers, Nick Elias, he bought me this shirt, and I wore it for him on this last video as kind of a testament to show that I really appreciate the fans who view me. Now, with Sailor Moon finally done, I'm going to be taking a break from magical girl animes because I want to mix up the content in addition to the fact that I don't want to be labeled as the magical girl femboy reviewer. I just don't want to be that. Also, I do think I'm going to go on a bit of a hiatus from this video. Not like a year's blah 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 long hiatus. Maybe a few months. But that's because I need to watch more anime, you guys. I mean, given the fact that I have a busy schedule, I got work, I have sessions, I have family, I got other friends who want to hang out with me, I'm gonna need to go on a bit of a hiatus in order to properly, review more series. Because I can't exactly review something I haven't watched, and most of the series I've reviewed, I've already watched, and then managed to find time to watch again. However, my other animes in my big-ass collection in my room, I can't confidently review without either watching again or watching a little bit more of. So expect a hiatus. But if you really want me to come back sooner, then I don't know, like the video and bug me in the comments and I'll probably notice you. But I will say though, the hiatus is inevitable, but I will come back unless I die from like a stroke or something. But what's the likelihood of that? But anyways, with that said and out of the way, Sailor Moon Sailor Stars, for me personally, gets a 6.8 out of 10. I'm gonna give R the edge, so by that token, it already is under R, but 6.8 out of 10 is pretty good. And once again, thank you very much. I'm Quinn866. Have a good one.